As a female mortgage lender, helping hundreds of families yearly change their lives with a purchase or refinance loan. Join me on She Means Business as I interview remarkable professional women who are redefining success and leadership. Get ready to be inspired. Welcome to She Means Business.
Hi, I'm Bruchie Yudkovsky, founder and CEO of Bar Design Interiors, a boutique residential and commercial firm servicing Rockland, New York and beyond. We take ordinary, everyday spaces and turn them into something magical and transforming. Our focus is providing an exceptional client service, transforming one space at a time, making life more beautiful.
Okay, welcome back to She Means Business, and I'm with
Bruchie, hi.
Hi Bruchie, how are you?
Good,
I'm so glad that you're here. And I'm really curious about your business because being in the money world, you know, I used to be very creative, but my creativity now is all with paper, money, computers, like things like that. So this is like out of my realm. So I want to hear more about you. I want to know a little bit how you chose your profession. If you can share with the audience like what you do and a little more about yourself.
All right, amazing. Thanks for having me here. It's so exciting. I had an interior design firm here in Muncie, and we focus on residential and commercial spaces. Growing up, it was like clear as day to me that this is what I was going to do. It was never a question. I never had to meet a career coach. In high school, I had those classes. It was always in me. I went to art classes as a very young child. My mother sent me from Queens every Monday and Sunday to Zelda's Art World in Brooklyn.
Where did you grow up? In Queens?
Queens, yeah. Okay. So I went every Sunday morning, early, and we would paint for 2 hours. I came up with these beautiful paintings, and they're all over the basement. She still has them there as a gallery wall. And art was always something I was like attracted to, and I wanted to just know more about it and find out the science behind it and the technical skills you need to run a successful firm. So I immediately went to NYSTID, New York School of Interior Design, when I graduated, and I got my bachelor's, and here we are.
It's very interesting they say that. I don't remember interior design being a thing when I grew up. Now maybe it's generational difference because I'm probably old enough to be a mother. And so, but I'm just saying it might be generational, but I just don't really ever hearing about that growing up. Maybe it was also different timings, you know, the post-war, and then people were just building businesses and building themselves, and they didn't think to invest in design. Today, every client I close talks, when they're going to do some work, talks about design.
Right.
It's part of the package. And it's also one of the things that I regret a little bit. When I built my house, I didn't really focus a little more on having a designer every step of the way, because now looking back, there's things I should have done differently.
Correct. Right.
Whatever I would have paid a designer is a lot cheaper than I were to correct any of those mistakes today.
Absolutely. It's always worth getting it done
Yeah.
first time, the right way.
When I say a little bit, I'm not talking about a little bit. I'm talking about like the difference of costing nothing at the time of building to maybe costing a couple thousand more.
Sure.
Versus today, the things I would have to change would probably cost me over 6 figures more. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Those little things, like we ask questions when we meet a prospective client, and I do that first initial consult. I ask questions about things they never even considered, they never even thought about. You know, do you want a smart home? Do you want speaker systems? Should we bring in a IT guy? Not IT, what's the word? A low voltage guy to do, make your home smart. This is questions that people don't even consider.
Yeah, exactly.
Door heights, do you want an 8-foot door instead of the standard 7, just to raise the ceiling height? All these things that cost nothing when you start the home building.
I'll give you a perfect example. You just said in my room, my bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
I put a system, an intercom system.
Right.
So I had a vision that my bed would be set up in a certain place in the room, and I set the intercom where it would be to the left of me or the right of me in the bed, so I could reach it if I wanted to. And then I lived in my house a couple of years, and I realized that the view, I'm right near the mountains, the view to the mountains, I have to be facing the other way, and I want to wake up and see the mountains. One day, I just got up and I said, that's it, I want to see the view. And I took my bed and I just pushed it. I pushed the dresser over, and I pushed my bed to the other side of the room, and I just flipped the pillow, and I can see now, and now I can see the mountains.
Wow.
And I had to move the furniture, and my intercom now is behind the dresser. It's not even near my bed. And if I had only known that I want to see a view every second, I didn't think of that. And I think that's why I need somebody else. Okay, so now we know why designers are so important, and I can tell you from personal experience. You said you went to a training and he said, like, here we are. Did you learn from another master? Did you work for somebody? Or did you go straight on your own? Like, what got you to the point of having your own business?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and I think a lot of people sometimes skip the first steps and they immediately think, oh, I can do this, I could go on my own. And I caution that mistakes in design are often very expensive mistakes, and why not learn those mistakes through a firm than on your own? So I did have 9 years of experience before I went on my own. I worked for a staging company, a kitchen and bath company. I then moved to Israel when I got married. I moved to Israel for 5 years. I worked in a furniture store, and I designed apartments for people in Israel. People in America who own apartments in Israel, I would be like the go-to, the back and forth.
Yeah.
I would do all the furnishings for them across the ocean. I was their like go-to. So that was a great.
Can I ask you a question
niche.
about that?
Yeah.
Did you work with other designers, or do you work with the people? Because I know designers from here who do work in Israel, but and they always say we do a long distance, but they're really doing with you doing the work, and they're just the face over here.
So it would work with both. There are a lot of like local Israeli designers. A lot of them are actually American ones, like living in Israel. And I would work with them together, and then sometimes I would just do it directly with the clients in the States, but there was no designer involved.
Oh, so that's very cool. So now you're on your own. Were there any obstacles that you encountered when you opened your own firm that you didn't expect? Like anything, a bump in the road that had you known something different you would have done differently, or this is just really for people starting fresh?
Yeah, so because I'm a designer and I don't have like a huge overhead, we don't have to have that fancy office the first day. It was more like the hiring process that was a hurdle for me. Figuring out when to hire, who to hire, which people in the right seats, figuring all that out, that was probably like one of my biggest challenges. And also just setting yourself up legally, like all the tax, the resale certificates, getting yourself an LLC, the corporation, getting the accountant, all the behind the scenes of the business part. That was like a big, I wouldn't call it a hurdle, but it was like a big challenge to figure out and talk to the right people. To set yourself up for success from the beginning. Those things are really important.
A lot of people don't realize that, and then I've talked to different people, especially through the podcast, that people are into like the arts or design. We had a girl who ran a clothing store, and they said the same thing. Like basically, they all thought they knew what they wanted to do. You ever read the book called The E-Myth?
I haven't.
Okay, so E-Myth, I think I've even spoken to in the past. So those who watch a lot of them, yes, I do like that book a lot. So that book is basically, I think, the first go-to book anyone should read when they're starting a business. And even when they didn't start it, when they started a while ago, I think it's very good to read. And basically it tells you like the different things, why some businesses fail and some businesses don't. And the premise is they bring an example of somebody that he makes widgets, he makes something in a factory, like, I don't even know what a widget is. I'm assuming it's like a screw type of thing. And he's the best widget maker in the factory, and he's the number one widget maker, and he's at the top of the pay grade for a widget maker in a factory. And one day he says, like, why am I making $20 an hour when my bosses are making millions selling widgets across the country? I want to open a widget company. So he leaves the factory and becomes self-employed, and within a year he fails. And so the question is, a lot of people have a craft, or they have a talent, or they have a know-how of what they're going to do, but they don't know the how-to run a business. They don't know the marketing, the business side, all that.
I find like the creative part of my job is like maybe 20%. It might even be 15%, and then 85% of my day is the technical, the business side, figuring out the trades, the vendors, client communication. It's 15% design.
Is that sad for you?
So my passion is the design, but to have a successful firm, it's not just about the pretty. You have to make it work and have it actualized, and that's so very detail oriented. I think people see a lot of glamour, and we'll discuss this later. I want to get to that also. On Instagram, on LinkedIn, on social, you just like flip, snap your finger, you just tap, and like the room's transformed, and it looks so easy. And it's part of the fun, and yeah, it looks glamorous, but people don't see like the nitty gritty, the mistakes, the skill, to have everything so perfectly documented and perfect that it got to this beautiful after.
So I have a question for you. Like you do commercial and residential.
Okay.
When I met with you, you were showing us, you showed me a beautiful portfolio of things you've done. And what caused me to invite you to the podcast was not the work that you did, but was your excitement and your passion for what you're doing. And I wanted to try to capture a piece of that because it was very exciting. It was infectious.
Yeah.
And one thing you were talking about was a specific location that you had done. It was I think it was a commercial space, and you were showing the different ideas and how, and you used the word to me. What you said was, it has to have a certain vibe. And I'm like, like a vibe? Like, what do you mean a vibe? And it was like, and I was thinking about it, it's true. And then he said to me, if you want people to come to your shop, your restaurant, your store, your building, they want them to feel in it, with it, you know?
Yeah.
And I realize that's not just matching colors or hanging a wallpaper or going to a showroom getting tiles that coordinate.
Correct. It's so much more.
It's a feeling.
It's
also.
the feeling you're creating. It's the feeling that you're evoking, that from the first minute you interact with the space, like, what do you feel?
Right.
Do you feel at home? Do you feel scared? Do you feel stiff? Do you feel happy? Like, there's so many different ways to like invoke an emotion, and you want to match that to the space. You know, if it's a professional space, you want to make it feel clean, sleek, you know, more modern. But if it's like a homey store or shawarma store, which I did recently, you want it's a Moroccan vibe. You want to have fun colors and pattern and texture and woods with bright colors. You know, really make it a happy place where families will want to come and enjoy. So that was very important.
So I'm really curious. I don't care if you pick something residential, something commercial, it doesn't matter which one. I want you to like kind of walk us through some of the details that go behind the Instagram picture.
Oh,
like,
there's so
from
much.
like you meet somebody, like what happens? Like
so there's
just tell us.
Whenever I meet with a client in their home, when we come and we, you know, discuss lots of different design styles and themes, I bring with me like a bunch of beautiful photos of different styles, and I try to nail down their style. And does something like this resonate? What about something like this? And we usually get it like 95% of the time, you know, what the client really wants. And very often they don't even know what they want. So we, you know, come with a vision for them. When I come to their homes and I see their existing spaces, it's a very indicative of their style. So it's very helpful for me to come to their home, meet them there, and sense their style. And from there, I send them off the beautiful welcome packet. In there, you know, delineates all the steps of the design process, what to expect. I give out an emotional timeline, which people laugh, but it's so true. But basically, it's like a pie chart that goes up and down, because you start off here when you're hiring a designer. You're like, okay, there's some issues, you know, you want to fix. Then we come in and you're like super happy, you can't wait, you're so excited, and you know, we're going through all the steps and all the phases, and it's so exciting. And then we start taking all your money, and your house looks like a wreck, and everything's broken and damaged and renovated and gutted, and you're out of money, out of time, and you're like, just get me back in, the winter's here, I'm freezing, close the docks, we want to come in already. And I always tell people, we're here now, we're like really low and really angry, but that means that we're in a good place, because we're getting to the climax, which is about to come, and slowly the install happens, and the millwork, and the wallpaper installation, and the tiles, and we're like there at the Pinnacle, and it's so exciting. We have this huge reveal day, clients are ecstatic, right? And then there we have a few issues, right? Things will always come a little damaged, the mirror came with the neck, okay, well, I'm gonna call the company, I replace it, it's gonna come in another few weeks, we're gonna wait. So we go down a little bit, just a drop, and then we go back up, and we're so excited again, you know. And then when clients finish a project, it's like after, you know, months, years of time of, you know, this relationship that we built, and we got to the final exciting part. We do a photo shoot. I hand them off a goodbye packet, which is like this beautiful packet of all the befores, all the afters. They can see the journey. I give them like a maintenance guide, how to clean the furniture, how to maintain it, how to wash the rugs, you know, beautiful, like cute little packet that like, here you go. We did this.
That is really, really special.
Yeah.
I love the packet at the end with the before and after with the photos in
They
between.
love it. You just see like, what? That's how it looks.
Is it like
apart.
a coffee size book they put in the
Yes,
table?
and it's like, it's beautiful. It's like they could leave it in their house, they can't frame it, but they could like use it as a book to show people. It's such a fun showpiece.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
So in order to go through that, all that ups and downs and the curves, you know, like how much time do you take in a job? I know that it's not a good question, because you can be doing a bathroom, you can be doing a 10,000 square foot house. But for, let's say, for example, for every 1,000 square feet that you decorate, like how much time is behind the scenes? Like how much you put into it?
So figure like 1,000 square feet is like a nice sized basement with a couple bedrooms,
Yeah,
let's say like a bathroom or two, let's say like a full bathroom, then a powder room.
Right.
Anywhere from like 60 to 120 hours is like average for the amount of work. From the shopping, from the sourcing, and then we go into the ordering stages and all the drawings, you know, and then we pass it off to the contractor, and he goes into the installation phase where there's questions and site visits and making sure everything's okay, and then dealing with the damages and defects and the changes on site, because we can't open the wall here because there's a pipe, you know, things like that come up all the time. Problem solving, and that's also very creative. I enjoy that part.
Yeah.
The problem solving happens every day, multiple times. And just being here for the client, you know, managing their expectations, letting them know this is normal, it came broken, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of it. I have a good relationship with all my vendors. They'll send it back, we'll give you a new one, it's all gonna be okay.
It sounds like it's, like I'm listening to you speak, it sounds like it's all encompassing.
Yeah.
How do you achieve a work and life balance? I know that you said you got married, so I'm assuming you're still married.
A bunch of kids
So you got married, you have children, you have a husband, and you're dealing with people's emotions, people's homes, people's livelihood and their businesses. Are they calling you at all hours of the day or night? And how do you balance it? How do you juggle it? How do you set boundaries? Because that's something that a lot of women entrepreneurs, they struggle with that.
Yeah, so that's definitely, I feel like it's something we're always working on and always trying to balance. I will say, first of all, for all the ladies out there, if you could afford it, get help in terms of cleaning. Like, someone else could fold your laundry, someone else could wash those dishes, help with the kids. It's okay. You don't have to feel guilty for that. As long as I'm with my children, I do bedtime, I do bath time, I do supper time, I cook supper, I do all that. But when I'm with my kids from 4 to 7, it's no work time. 4 to 7, you text me, you get a flashback message, office is now closed. We'll reach you at, the closest convenience. And I do work at night from 7:30 to 10:30. You can reach me. People call me at my busiest hours sometimes are at night. Answering all the calls, because during the day I'm running around between sites and clients. At night, I'm just like at the computer, call me, we'll walk through any questions you have. Even like my clients are also full-time working people, so they're not available during the day either. So a lot of my good calls and details happen at night.
I do the same as you.
I love it.
I have to say, I do the same as you. I meet people all day long,
right?
And I get very, very busy doing my craft. I'm busy. I love the firefighting. I love the solutions.
Right.
I love all that. I go outreach. I talk to people. I'm on the phone literally all day. And then when it comes at night, sometimes a client wants more. They need more of me. They want to hear more. And I only have 10 or 15 minutes during the day sometimes, but I can give them an hour at night.
Right.
So I find that the nighttime hours are good for me to connect with people and to really have time to expand and really listen and think and listen with them. So I find the nighttime hours are very good.
It's
for
like
me
my best time is at night. It's like I'm like anytime during the day I can't answer. I'm like, call me at night. Well, I'll get to you. I don't ignore people. Even if I can't answer during the day, I'll shoot them a quick text. I see what you wrote. I'm gonna get back to you at this and this time. If it's an emergency, people know they can always call me. I can always answer and say, you know what, I'm gonna call you back in 5 minutes between meetings in the car. I'm always happy to call people back, especially if there's like an emergency on site.
Most of your business, does it come from referrals? Like where does your business come from?
I would say like 99% referrals.
Do you feel you're tapped out now, or do you have like more space? Like, how do you handle as more business comes in? I'll tell you something. I don't know exactly how it is for you yet, because we didn't talk about that at all. But I know that in my business, I know when my business snowballed. It was 1998.
Oh, wow.
That's when my business started to snowball. What I mean by snowball is, what's a snowball? It's a small ball, and you roll it down the mountain, just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger on its own.
Interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's when business started to snowball. And I had to make major changes in my life at that time. That's when I got a cleaning woman for the first time, because my husband and I argued over where his socks were. And like we need some to laundry. Need some to laundry. And then I was prior to that, I was very like with daycare. I didn't want to send my kids out so much. I'd send them out for 3 hours a day. I started putting them out for not a whole day, but like instead of from 9 to 12, from 9 to 3, because I just needed a little more time. So, things kind of changed a little bit. And then as we get busier and busier and busier, I started to hire staff.
That's right.
My first assistant's job was sometimes to push the baby in the baby carriage. It wasn't always to do work, whatever it was going on.
Wow.
So, you start to hire staff. So as your business is growing, it sounds to me like you're in growth mode.
Yeah, Baruch Hashem. So no, I have help. I can't do this myself. I have employees, assistants, drafters. I have a team. And yeah, we're ready for more.
So as more business comes in, you're able to grow.
To grow, yeah. And I'm looking to grow steadily, As you grow, you get to choose the better projects, the projects that you're more passionate about, more excited about. And the level of client grows. And yeah, Baruch Hashem.
What's nice about your business is, which one thing I'm taking from it, which is as important as it is, it's not really an urgent business. What I mean by that is, how many times do you get a phone call during the day that if you don't handle it that second, it means someone's gonna die of a heart attack? Like
right.
we're not brain surgeons.
We're not brain surgeons.
Yeah, exactly, right? So
No,
you may have an emergency if something got delivered, it's the wrong size.
Correct.
And the delivery man is waiting. I need to know, do I take it back? Do I leave it?
Correct.
So yes, someone has to answer that question and make that decision. But for the most part, while you can't ever ignore a client, and you wouldn't grow your business if you did, but you can actually talk to a client in an hour. If you don't talk between 4 and 7, it doesn't mean that your business is falling apart or like that. That's a good thing about your business.
That's a good thing, right? And no one's dying here. Emergencies do happen, like you said. I had one situation, and again, it's all about managing the client's expectations, like day one. Say things will go wrong. If nothing goes wrong, it's impossible. It means you haven't done a day of work in the design field. It means you're just not experienced, because any experienced person will tell you mistakes happen beyond our control. Sometimes they're our control, it was our mistake, right? There's so many details. I say in one bathroom, there's probably like 1,000 decisions.
Whoa.
So many, the tile, the grout, the laying, the this, the that, there's a million decisions. If one goes wrong, That's amazing. We did amazing, right? We got 999 right. So mistakes are normal. They're part of the job. They're part and parcel. And again, it's managing the clients, letting them know. And then it's how you deal with it. And we don't run away. If it's my fault, I pay for it. I once sent a pink color. I didn't have time to sample it. The guy wanted to answer right away. I said, do this pink color. And it came out a shade too blue. Honestly, I did not like it. The client called me and she said, what do you think? I said, if it was my house, I probably would repaint it. I'm telling you the truth. She's like, I'm not sure, I'm on the fence. I said, think about it, think about it. I'm telling you, my opinion is I would repaint it. She was so appreciative, and I paid the $400. I paid the contractor. I said, it was my mistake. I owned up to it, and your respect that I gave the client, they show that you care about them, and you're not just,
It's so interesting that you just said that. I once had something very similar happen to me in my house, but there wasn't a designer really. So what happened was I was putting up a very nice black backsplash behind my stove. And I put down, I have like a 60-inch stove, and I was putting like in the tile some kind of mosaic behind it. So I put the mosaic up, and it was really nice, and it was a small piece. I spent extra on every piece of that tile, and it was an expensive mosaic. And it came in, I thought it looked really good, and I brought my sister to look at it, and she says, do you notice it's not centered?
Wow.
And I hadn't noticed. And then I looked at it, it was like 2 inches off. And now I don't really pay attention to detail, but when you tell me the detail, I notice it. And so I was like, that was not such a big deal. And I would go, yeah, it's not such a big deal. And that night my sister called me, she goes, you know something, take it down and put it back up and move it over 2 inches over. And she goes, don't tell the tiler, just tell him it's okay. Don't blame him for it.
Right.
Just tell him that you'll pay him for his time to move it over. And the tiler took down, each one's a little mosaic, she took down each tile, moved it over and put it back up. And she told me that if I didn't do that, then every day I'd wake up in the morning and the first thing I'd see is a non-centered center. And why did that happen?
Can't unsee these things.
Why did that happen? Because we measured between the two counters, but there was really like in between the two, I had 2 stoves, not a 60-inch stove. There actually was something in the middle, like a divider or a filler. And when they measured, we said 60 inches, not 62 inches or 63 inches, whatever it should have been.
Right.
And that's kind of what happened.
Wow.
So she said to me, don't blame the guy who laid it. He did a beautiful job in laying it. He didn't know that it wouldn't be centered when we put the stoves in.
Back in, right?
So I didn't blame anyone. He really did measure it. He should have maybe known that. I certainly didn't.
Right, that was not your
But
case.
whatever the case was, but she did tell me you do your house once. You don't want to have the wrong thing there. So in your case, you said you took responsibility for the paint color, but I think that the right thing was to replace it.
Yeah.
Because it would always stick in her face. I hate it.
Yeah, I said, I don't want you to wake up every time and you're in this bathroom and say, oh, we should have changed it. So
yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's just exactly what I thought at the meeting we met. You really love what you do and you take responsibility for every single thing you do. And when people are happy with you, they probably refer you to their friends. Like, tell me more about like how the growth of your business goes. Is it, you said it's mostly from referrals.
Yeah.
So tell us more.
Yeah, sure. So I do market on Instagram and LinkedIn, but I do find like majority of my clients come through other clients, through referrals. And interestingly enough, I get a lot of referrals through vendors. Every vendor, my painters, my contractors, my stone guys, right? Everyone that you interact with, the tile stores, I meet so many people all day, right? I'm interacting with so many people, like custom sofa guys and the upholstery. Mm-hmm. There's so many nice people out there who are working so hard. I make each of them feel so good, and I love working with them, and they love referring me back because I bring them more business. I appreciate them. I make them feel so good. I compliment them. I bring them gifts. Who gifts their tile guy? It's like unheard of.
Well, you brought me a gift today. Yes. But the interesting thing is that, but gifts are nice and compliments are nice, but at the end of the day, you're probably easy to work with. Because if it's ease to work with
I make their job easier. There's so much documentation where everything's so clear.
Right.
Then they don't have to call me 50 times with questions and mistakes and changes and edits, and they have to go back and redo their work. It's like
it makes a very big difference. Like
they really enjoy it. They appreciate it, and yeah.
See, one thing I learned a lot of things over the years, but a couple of things I learned is that number one, people will pay more for service. I'm not saying that your prices are high, your prices are low. I'm just saying in general that if you do your job well and you make it easier for the contractor, or let's talk about the tile shop. If she has to put her salesman on the floor with you and with the customer for 9 hours or 10 hours,
she ain't referring you.
But if you can come in and her salesperson's busy writing up the order and maybe coming up with 1 or 2 things and it takes her half an hour, you're cost effective for them.
Exactly.
And then what they do is they'll refer you, as you just said, but they'll probably also do better for your clients because it's a pleasure to work with you.
That's it. So I recently got a few nice clients through tile stores. It was like surprising at first. Now I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Like, I understand. Like, we really have a good relationship. We're great communicators. We get in touch with each other. They give me what I need, and I'm happy to reciprocate. And I refer clients to them as well.
Besides making it easier for vendors who want to work with you, is there anything else that you can think of that sets you apart from other designers? I know there's a lot of designers out there.
Yeah.
So I know that you went to school, not all designers went to school.
Right.
I don't know how important school is actually.
It's important. It's like the technical parts are important.
Yeah.
Yeah. More than just the pretty. I told you a lot of my job is technical. So
Right.
more than just the pretty. People reach out. They want to work. My first question always is like, do you know CAD? Do you know Revit? Do you know SketchUp? And they're like, no, but I have good taste.
Right.
That's
Okay.
not enough.
So basically, your education. Is there anything else that you'd say that your core values that differentiate yourself from the whole sea of designers that are within, a couple miles of where you live?
Right. So I would say back to the referrals. Why are people referring us? I feel like we're very transparent. We're very like the customer service. Like the level of customer service is like really exponential. Back to the vendor relationships. I recently had a story where I was using a new closet guy. He did a beautiful job, outfitted my entire client's summer home beautifully. He called me after and he said, what can I pay you? What can I give you? I said, pay me. I said, I got paid from the client. You got paid for the closet. So what do you need? What do I need from you? He said, oh, I want to give you a little, thank you, referral fee. I said, keep it. However, I do want, when my clients call for a service fee, I want you to service them. He's like, you got it, no problem. And my clients so appreciate that. They know that I built relationships with vendors and I got their back, my vendors have their back, and anything goes wrong, we take care of you. We're there for you. We're not just like, see you, have a good day. We're there for you throughout. Funny enough, I got a call 2 days later from a potential client, and I always ask, oh, so have you reached me?
Yeah.
Where do you come from? I want to track my inquiries. And he said, oh, from Mr. Closet Guy, like Mr. So-and-so. I said, oh, that's nice. And I got a huge, beautiful project, new build, construction, stunning project from this closet guy. So I was like, wow, that $400 or whatever that fee would have been, like, this was so much more rewarding to him. It just showed that we had each other's best interest in mind. And
For sure.
And he'll have another project now.
Ultimately, if you're in business, and it doesn't matter what business you're in, you want to do what's best for your client. So we do a very good job, and we work very hard, put a lot into our clients to make sure that their process is as smooth as possible. And like you said, there's always going to be turbulence in getting a mortgage, but if we can do as best we can and make sure they go to closing and they're happy. But sometimes I'll have somebody call me, and it happened to me recently where a client called me and said, I'm really sorry, we were halfway into the mortgage process, and it turns out that she got money from her trust. So she got lump sums throughout the year, and she just needed, she needed a certain amount. She didn't have enough to buy the house in cash, but she was nervous about the mortgage payment and the interest, like everyone else. And then she said, my siblings are going to give me the money interest-free instead, and when my trust gets distributed in the future, I'm just going to pay them back. So I said, I'm so happy for you. I was really, truly happy. She was nervous. Even though she gets this trust fund, I was so happy that she could do this without a mortgage, because I'd love my kids to buy houses without mortgages.
Yeah,
They could do it great, if not. And so I was really happy for her. She said, do I owe you anything? Can I pay you something? I'm like, no. All you can do is, someone else who might be in a position to buy or to want to refinance, just give me a good word. Give me a referral. I don't need anything from you. I'm really, truly happy. And I really was truly happy for her. And I feel that way, I don't need, not that I can in my industry, but it's like, if this client wasn't meant to be now and they got something better, I'm happy for them. And then, they will send me their friends, and they will send me other people who may need a mortgage. And here we are. That's how we grow our business. That's how it snowballs.
That's right. And we're in a small, fun world. Everyone's at the pool with her friend, and everyone's sitting in the restaurant, the cafe, and just like, oh, who do you use? Oh, and everyone trusts their friends. It's very much like a trust. You don't necessarily find a designer just by Googling. You want to hear from someone firsthand. You walk in someone's house, you love their sofa. Oh, who did it for you? That's very much word of mouth. So
it's so true. This is completely opposite. You're gonna laugh when I tell you the story. My son and daughter-in-law moved to Toms River, New Jersey, and I told them I'll get them a couch. And so I said, we'll go shopping. I was thinking like a Rima Flanagan, that type of store.
Okay.
And she said, well, as I went, we walked to the store, they're sitting on this couch. My daughter-in-law says, there's one couch I really, really want. I said, well, what kind of couch is that? I'm wondering what she's going to tell me. She goes, you get it from Bob's Furniture. She went to Bob's Furniture, we bought the couch. It's true.
I thought you were going to say something like designer RH or something.
Exactly, but she got a referral to Bob's Furniture because her friend had the couch in her
social
house,
pressure is so,
which is so funny. Just was completely.
I find like social referrals are like the most valuable out
Yeah.
there.
But you mentioned something about your Instagram. We're talking about Instagram, the time you put behind the glamour and the glitz.
Oh yeah.
I just want to tell you what my feeling is about the social media and the glamour and the glitz and everything that we do. Is that what we put out on social media is really what we want the world to see from what we've done.
Correct.
And people use it as a reference all the time. But to actually get business, I highly doubt that somebody who's going around looking at 70 designers is going to pick you just based on your social media. They might be looking at the comments and people like your post and say, oh, John Smith liked that post from this designer. I know her. She's my sister's best friend.
Right.
Let me get John Smith a call. Hey, I saw you liked
Exactly.
your picture. She goes, oh my God, she was great. She did a good job for me.
There you go.
There you
Sold.
go.
Yeah.
But they're not going to just pick you because you put a pretty picture out there. But you have to put the picture out there.
You have to do the work. Yeah.
Yeah, you have
And
to
we
do
always
it.
show on stories every day behind the scenes, fun reels, and keep it very like.
Do you do this by
interactive.
yourself?
I do. I tried to hire it out, and I was like, I'm too creative. I couldn't give that up. It was like it had to be my vision. I was like, that's another creative part that I enjoy. So it's all me. It's work.
Your business now 3 years,
Yeah.
and you've grown so quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank God, right?
Yeah.
And where do you see yourself going forward in the future? Like you just mentioned, you want to see a stamp on everything.
Yeah.
How do you see that in growth? Like, what do you see?
Yeah. So I always want to keep my brand boutique. Like I like to have my face at the front and also my signature style and hands on every single project. So we're figuring out, we're navigating this growth period in terms of growing slowly, not jumping into things, choosing projects that are the best fit for us and our clients, and navigating the growth with my team, making sure everyone's on the same page. It's the softwares behind the scenes of how we interact, a seamless process. So Baruch Hashem, it's a ride and it's a journey, and it's part of being, a business owner. We all go through that in different stages, and we're working on it. We're getting there, Baruch Hashem.
I just want to give you a couple tips.
Yes.
Okay, tip number one is that when somebody else can do what you do at 80%, let them do it.
Perfect.
And then you just have to work on perfecting the last 20%, and now you're at 96%. And then you can work on the last 4%. So that's number one, especially in growth. I learned that from a very smart man in Utah. His name was Douglas Andrews. And it's really a smart thing because even though you're going to see as your business grows, you're going to see that there's certain things you do have to give up. And in my business was like, I'm just thinking something a long time ago. I'll never forget. I was driving in my car. It was 1995 or something. I was talking to another person who's in business, and we were very similar in ages and similar in kids. And we both had similar philosophies. At that point, I was taking all my kids to work with me every day. I always had a kid on my arm. I was on the phone on the other side. I nursed my babies. I'll be on the computer. And that's really how I built my business.
Right.
And I remember I was talking to her, she goes, there's two things you can easily give up. The cleaning of the house and the watching of your children.
Yeah.
And I said, something? That was the impetus for me to hire my cleaning woman for the first time.
Right.
Because I was willing to give up the cleaning of my home.
Yeah.
I was not willing to give up the babysitting of my children.
Yeah, my children.
And then, but a couple of years later, as my business went insane, I had to give up, I had to send my kids to a daycare center, not so young, but first I started at 2 years old for 3 hours a day. Then I went at 2 years old for 6 hours a day. Then I went to 18 months for 6 hours a day. And then started, I'll have somebody in the house for a couple hours here and there when I had an appointment, because I couldn't juggle. My husband and I was splitting the shifts.
Wow.
And we weren't juggling. So there's different stages of your business growth. You make different stages on what you're going to, exactly different choices. But that 80% lesson was a very good one for me, because when you build your own business, I hear from you, you're a perfectionist.
Yeah,
When you talk about mistakes being a fact, I'm sure I know you do every single thing to mitigate that there should be no mistakes.
Right, and if there's a mistake, we have like a meeting and we're like, okay, how did this go wrong? How do we correct it for next time? And this mistake shouldn't happen again.
Exactly.
Because the second time, it's not a mistake anymore.
Well, the second time means the process wasn't followed.
Wasn't fixed. Yeah, so we have to make sure we follow process for sure. And we do have a very tight process in house.
Yeah, that's good.
And so we know every client's holding what stage they're in, and we're very clear, software.
Well, that's something also, talking about balance of time we talked about before, what I've learned also is that by having very tight processes or very strict structure actually gives you freedom.
That's it.
Like, for example, you said that between 4 and 7, you really don't talk to the client in an automatic message.
Yeah.
That's a process. And it's a structure.
That's it.
And that gives you freedom to have the 4 to 7 off
That's it.
without being unprofessional to your clients.
Right, I want to let them know that they're not getting ignored, but they get.
Yeah,
But they know if
exactly.
it's an emergency, they always know they could call. So I get calls. I'm not mixing my stuff around.
Yeah, of course.
People call. It's hectic, but it's part of it.
That's one of the
It's
nicest things about being working today. I think that being a female entrepreneur in today's world is a little bit easier in a way that if you are mixing, maybe it's just since COVID, but if you are mixing your supper, as you put it, you can tell somebody, you caught me in the kitchen, what's going on?
Yeah, it's
you
normal.
can do that.
Yeah, you can do that today.
You can do that.
Sure.
So just like, your business now 3 years, you're so passionate about your business. Your work is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Really beautiful work. You open your eyes to me what's so important about your field. Now, when you have someone young who wants to go into your business, do you have any advice to them of what they should do to start off? Do you have any tips for them? And if there's something that had someone told you would have done something different, what would that be?
I would say entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. It's a grind every day, doing the hard things, making the hard calls, doing what you love, managing people, managing staff. You can't just leave the office at 5 o'clock, hang up your coat and say, I'm out till tomorrow. It's on you. I go to sleep with it. The business is always, up here. I love it. There was never a moment that I considered throwing in the towel and going back to 9 to 5. I never for a second, but just know if you're doing this, it's the best journey. It's the most rewarding journey. Financially, you can't compare, but it's grit and it's hard work. And I would say do the work and don't take shortcuts. Do the work and do good work and make people happy and go above and beyond for people. Really hone your craft and make yourself an expert in the field and someone that says, I want her and I want you to have her too because she's excellent. So if you're going into business, whatever field you may be in, just be the best and give it your all.
That is an excellent lesson. And it's so true. And it always
sounds simple.
It does. It sounds simple. But just like it's in the glamour and glitz and opening your own company, it's really, really hard work to get there.
It's so much work. And when I hire my employees, I always ask them, why do you do this yourself? Why, and they don't want to. They don't want to. They want to work for someone else and not have the headaches and responsibility on their shoulders.
Some people like that.
They love it, and there's a security there. You get your steady paycheck. You know what to expect. You don't have to hustle and deal with all the sales and all the questions and complaints. You're good to go.
It's interesting. You said that the money you can't compare. It's very interesting that you say that because some people start businesses and don't make any money.
That's true.
Not everyone is successful at what they do, and they can be great at their craft.
That's right.
There could be somebody's really good at their craft, but they don't have the marketing skills. They don't have the sales skills. They don't have the people skills, and they can't grow it. They don't
have cash flow.
Whatever it is, they can't make it work.
Right.
Or the life drags her down. I met a woman recently, and she seems very talented, but because of things going in her life, she doesn't have time to work. As talented as she is, she can't work. So, but there are some people that are not cut out to be entrepreneurs. So this is something Helena said. They talk about. Rapam talks about this actually. He talks about, in one of the parashas, I don't remember which one it was, talks about bitachon. They say that somebody who's self-employed has more bitachon than somebody who is not self-employed, because sometimes self-employed just knows we can rely on the paycheck.
That's right.
And they're talking about that a person has to really work very hard on themselves to realize that Parnassus is from Hashem. So when you are self-employed, it's a little bit easier to understand that and
see it clear every day.
See it and to internalize it, and as opposed to somebody who's not, because they don't see it that way the same way. So just interesting little concept.
I saw it recently also by Rav Rabinowitz. He put that in.
A lot of people say
it
because it just makes sense.
And it was it resonated. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
This is so fun.
This was a lot of fun. And I wish you so much success and growth. I'm looking for Bruchie's Boutique, a huge storefront maybe one day.
By design.
Yeah, by design. We're going to see that. And always keep your passion, because that's what's really, I think that's what sells you, is not what you say.
Yeah, I think it's...
Although you said all the right things.
it's the good work. It's like what you put out. That's really what matters. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, Bruchie.
Thank you.